Can Blake Lively just dismiss her claims against the Wayfarer parties? And the answer is no. I've seen this come up in comments throughout my videos. Watch her dismiss her claims, watch her walk away from the lawsuit. This is the point in which she dismisses her claims. And let me explain to you why she can't do that. Rule 41 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedures governs dismissal of actions. We'll stick to subsection A, which governs voluntary dismissals. The only time a plaintiff can voluntarily dismiss their claims against the defendant is if the defendant hasn't either answered the complaint, which happens very soon after a complaint is filed, or hasn't filed a motion for summary judgment. Sometimes, in some cases, instead of providing an answer, a defendant will just file a motion for summary judgment. That's a pretty rare circumstance. So usually, a defendant will answer. And once a defendant answers, the plaintiff can't just voluntarily dismiss the complaint. However, let's say a plaintiff files a lawsuit and the defendant answers, and then they get into negotiations and they decide to settle the case. And if they decide to settle that case outside of the courtroom, they can, whatever private terms that they have, as part of the settlement, the plaintiff will dismiss the complaint, and that falls under an exception in Rule 41. That exception specifically being that the parties stipulate to the action being dismissed. In this instance, it would require that Lively stipulate, aka agree, with all of the defendants on the Wayfarer party side, and all of them sign a stipulation dismissing the case. At that point, if that happens, the court has no choice and has to dismiss the action. The only other way for the plaintiff to dismiss the case after an answer has been filed is to seek court order to dismiss the case. That means moving the court, pleading to the court, asking the court to dismiss the case. And that has to be done by the plaintiff. And that means that the plaintiff has to make a very compelling showing to the court that the defendants then have the opportunity to oppose about why there is no grounds to simply accept the plaintiff to just dismiss the claims. I'm sure it has happened, but I haven't seen in employment lawsuits a plaintiff getting this far into discovery and then dropping the case without entering into some kind of settlement that would stipulate for the case to be dropped completely. In summary, if you're going to see the case get dismissed by Lively, it's going to be as a result of settlement. Now, settlement can look any type, shape, or form. It doesn't always have to be money. And if it's confidential, we're not going to see the terms of that settlement. Sometimes there are public components of settlement, and that's all negotiated at the time that the parties are settling a case. And how much of that we'll see, how much of that we'll know, it remains to be seen. It's really going to be up to the parties. But if that happens, then we can talk about it then.